welcome back to Bite Size Sports. Kev and John here with you tonight to
Yes, sir.
chat you through Eastern Conference Finals. John, how you feeling about this Heat Celtics series to start?
It's another good one, man. I mean, we should have known the Heat were taking game one.
I think you called it early in the second quarter, right? Because
Yeah,
I,
I was
I
like, I
almost
just said it would be so Heat.
you're like it
You
might be
know?
a gentleman's sweep, but they are winning game one.
Yep. Right. Yeah. Even if it only goes to 5 and the Celtics win it, I don't know. They've had that. I mean, I think it's 7 straight game ones that Jimmy's won or something like that. Um. So yeah, I don't know. It's kind of one of their things.
Not Not to be I mean, I can't even see them as an underdog at this point, right? Like
No, it's tough to.
this time last year, they were the 1 seed
Yeah.
and well, actually this time last year, what were they out of the playoffs? But anyway, I can't. Either way, but they were a 1 seed in
Hmm.
2020. They were right here, right where we're at right now, Eastern Conference Finals. Like there's just something about the Miami Heat, but our dear friend James from the Bounce brought some pretty interesting stats into play. I don't know if you saw these, John, in our
I
Discord.
did.
Shameless plug. Go ahead and join the Discord. I will throw it on the screen here. We'll get a link sent in the comments below. But what was it across the board? Right? I think all 5 starters, and I think there were 7 players that were shooting above their regular season average. I don't know.
Yeah,
We'll get the stats
comfortably.
pulled up, but yeah, just everybody is shooting above the norm. You look at also the ghost of Kevin Love coming back full force, a
Yeah.
renaissance man.
Yeah, man. I mean, Lowry's had some, throwback games. I think he had 33 in that one um, in the Milwaukee series or the New York series, I think it was. And he's had some hot shooting nights. Yeah, I mean, they have I think I listened to that Ben Taylor with Thinking Basketball, and he was just saying how it's such a function of like just straight up buy-in, across the board, and it's not necessarily everybody playing, that amazing on an individual level. It's just that I don't know. It's the Heat culture.
The
It's
Heat
playoff
culture.
basketball. It's Spoelstra coaching. Like it's just I don't know. Everybody just fits right into that machine, Or like he compared it to how how the Belichick Patriots have been, on a shorter time frame, but like how they were just kind of plugging in UDFA's just because they were doing what the system required or whatever.
Yeah,
Um,
it's like Max Struess has become a household name for us regular hoop heads. Oh, great defense there
yeah,
by Gabe Vincent. 17-2 run, by the way. Miami has a 3-point lead now. I think
Celtics
when
were up by like 12. Yeah,
they were up 12 while we were firing up the pre-stream. The
yep.
Celtics had a lead, and the Heat have come
Caleb
roaring back, and now it's a 5-point lead for Miami. So again, Joe Mazzulla, hello. You do have timeouts. I count 5 of them right now,
Yep.
currently available to the Celtics. I don't know about you, John. We'll see how this possession goes. I don't love that forced shot from Horford. I would have much preferred a timeout. I don't understand. We kind of hit Missoula hard for this last night.
Yeah.
I don't get the lack of just calling timeouts, especially when you're the home team here. How are you going to just let the away team go on a 17-2 run,
That's
19-2 run,
yeah.
actually?
Yep. 19-2, and like yeah. Now you're coming off a stop, but it's not like you're on the break. You could have blown one there.
And Jalen
Sure.
Brown gets him out of it here with a nice,
Yeah.
difficult layup there. But yeah, no mistake about it. We talked about this last night. Eric Spoelstra is the best coach available in the Final Four, with
Yeah.
Malone being number 2. Give credit to that
Hmm.
guy. He had his own little viral moment last night, well deserved. We'll talk about that at some point, I'm sure, during one of
Yeah,
these
that was
commercial
great.
breaks. Because right now Al Horford is running a point, running the fast break. Ooh,
Whamma
Jalen
jamma.
Brown. Yeah, Duncan Robinson was not about to contest that.
No, he was not. He thought about it for half a second.
Hey, real quick, if you're watching us on YouTube or Facebook or Twitch, we thank you. We're happy to have you hanging out. You can hang out with us while watching the game live on playback.tv/bite size sports. But otherwise, if you're here, we're happy to hang out with you. Give us
Oh, yeah.
your thoughts, fire away any questions in the comment below, and we will get you up here on screen and answer your question or share your thought with the group. We are happy to have you here on a Friday night. Oh, John, so before we go any further, let's get our predictions in, because I'm sure we'll come back to this a time or two before the night is over. So right now, as it stands, regardless of who you want to win, who do you think is winning game 2 of the Eastern Conference Finals?
I don't know if you had the game fired up yet. I was watching for like 3 or 4 minutes before we jumped on pre-show, and there was a really interesting stat that came up. It was the home team coming off of a game 1 loss is 118 and 26 or something all time. Something crazy like that, and they've won the last 16 in a row. So, like when they blow home court advantage kind of right away, they get the second one back at a really high rate, 75, 80%, 85% of the time. Like, so it's tough to bet against the Celtics when this feels like a series that should go 7,
Right.
like,
Yeah.
and then, I mean, going back to Miami 2-0, that is not somewhere you want to be as Boston. That would be so tough. I mean, this is a pretty must win.
Yeah, I agree. It's interesting to say that about a game 2, but I
It
agree with
is.
everything that you just said. Yeah, it's a must win, and it's one that you expect the Celtics to win based on those numbers that you mentioned, but also based on the way the Celtics are. We talked about it a little bit earlier in the week with Jason Tatum, how
Yeah.
he had a record-setting game 7, and the 2
Mhm.
games prior to that, he wasn't great. He struggled a lot. So you just when you see the Celtics have a bad game like this, wow, horrible pass there. Some sort of miscommunication between Smart and
Gotta
Brogdon. We'll
be.
say that.
Sorry, I'm right in everyone's grill. Who the hell is that?
Who are you looking at?
44 with the ball
44?
right.
Is that Zeller? Yeah, looking
Oh,
for
it is.
yep, that's a
Dude,
Zeller right there.
he looks like have you seen Glory Road?
I have it.
He looks like a character from there, one of the big white dudes with the who wears the goggles.
As a
That's my
you
favorite
know,
basketball movie, by the way. Anybody in the chat?
mine
Glory
is
Road.
Hoosiers. Has
Hoosiers is
nothing to
good.
do
Gotta
with
be up
my
there.
upbringing in rural Indiana,
Yeah,
nothing to
there
do
you
with
go.
that.
That's true. Yeah, I love Miracle. I don't like hockey, but I love Miracle because there were like 18 guys from Minnesota on that team, and we're just kind of like, oh, Miracle.
Plus, it's got one of the greatest coach speeches in all of sports
Yes.
movie history.
Oh yeah.
Brogdon hits the free throw, so it's been a lot. There's a lot of miscommunication. They're still discussing it. Brogdon and Smart.
Yeah.
I had called it a horrible pass when we saw it live, and in all fairness,
Mhm.
everything about the result of that play was horrible. Whether it was a bad pass or whether Brogdon wasn't where he was supposed to be is currently being
Mhm.
debated live on court right
Yeah,
now. But
literally.
so I'm not sure.
Oh,
My eyes
Vincent's
tell me
making
it was a
that pick and
bad
roll.
pass.
Yeah, seriously. That's something that Vincent doesn't like penetrate a lot, but he snakes the pick and roll really well to kind of drag it out.
Ooh, that's a shot you'll live with. I know some nights Jimmy can give you 40
Ooh.
while hitting shots like that, but
Yeah.
if Jimmy's going to dismantle you, those are the shots you want to see him take. Although Boston has been incredibly sloppy with their passing multiple
Yeah.
possessions now. I know we were just making a joke about Brogdon and Smart, but they are really giving the ball away with ease. Since we fired this up, we've only been live for 10 minutes. I've seen 3 easily
Oh my god.
avoidable turnovers from the Celtics, and it might not
Yes.
be. There might be more than that.
And they're rushing like crazy. I mean, why isn't Smart taking that shot? That was not a hard closeout
Yes,
from Zeller.
he kept
Like, I
waiting.
don't
And also, why did Zeller decide to flagrantly foul Marcus
I
Smart?
don't know what that
Also,
was either.
like, what is that?
He wasn't even beat that badly. That was a weird sequence.
That sequence, it looked like for a second I genuinely thought the stream might have gotten choppy or something. That reminds me of when you're playing the game on PS2 and it frame rate freezes for a second and then
Yep.
everything catches up. I'm like, wait, what? Marcus, are you really going to wait for Zeller to get all the way out there to try to
Yeah.
go by him? He's not moving fast enough for you to be able to take advantage of that momentum to blow. You know what I mean? He's
Yep.
just plodding along. You're not going to be able to get by him,
That was so
clearly.
super weird. Yeah, the shorts are like glitched behind him.
Yes. Which reminds me, we got to get our 2K Dynasty
Yeah,
going.
man.
Listen, if you guys are watching with us live right now, go ahead and subscribe to the second stream, the second channel, Bite Size Streams, where we will do all our sports related gaming content, including a retro rebuild that John and I are planning up in the 2K world.
Yes. Yeah, that'll be a
Two,
blast.
2-point Heat lead. Who are you going? What year? Because well, let's hang on. I'll wait for a second. There's only 15 seconds left in the
Yeah, that'll be a
second,
good
so we'll spend our
halftime thing.
halftime nerding out about 2K.
Dude, that Gabe Vincent pull up in just a minute ago was nuts. That's the
Oh,
of course Jimmy gets to that.
remember when I said those are the shots you'll live with?
Right?
Except when you can't. Speaking of shots you'll live with,
Oh
was
man.
there a foul there? I mean, you want Marcus Smart to be the one shooting the half court buzzer beater, but
That
there
face
might have been a
Jimmy
little. Oh,
that face Jimmy just made at the camera should be a GIF in a couple of days here.
and there he goes. He's got his exhausted Jimmy meme going too,
Yeah.
right there.
Just a
Wow. I am in shock a little bit here at this halftime score. I did not expect the Celtics to blow them out. So when we saw that big lead, I was like, "Oh, that'll level out."
mm-hmm.
But for it to completely evaporate and go into, I think at one point Miami had like a 7-point lead here before it came back down.
Yeah.
It's
Celtics were 10-point favorites.
not looking good. Not looking good. What's your biggest takeaway from the first half there, John?
I thought so. I did think they were going to come out strong, but I kind of thought the Celtics were going to run away with this at one point, just because like I thought this series was going to be really back and forth. You know, the Heat, landed the first punch. I thought the counter punch was going to be a strong one, and they did come out kind of hot, but like that was the same basketball we saw down the stretch of game one that we saw down the stretch of the first half. Like it was just, like Tatum's doing weird stuff with the ball and like almost doing weird travels and doubles and like getting really fluid. Like that little thing that happened around half court just now. I was like, whoa. Like it reminded me of those weird like pump fake, and then he was like trying to do a step around even when the guy didn't jump. So he ended up like doing like a first baseman stretch with the ball up here on like 3 possessions.
Triple threat
It
position, yeah.
yeah, right. It was just like I don't know. He looked super flustered down the stretch. I thought, and I don't know. It's still anyone's game, obviously, but I feel like the Heat already kind of absorbed their best of the night. Like I feel like it's
Yeah.
that the Heat
That's
are just
kind of
way too disciplined to blow leads like that.
that's the feeling that I got too when we're talking about that 12-point lead at one point that the Celtics had. It's far too early in the game for the Heat to have overcome that.
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah, exactly.
I don't see the Celtics getting the better of them like that again and going on another run. That's something that happens early on. You have the energy. You lost. You lost home court advantage in game one. So naturally, I
Mhm.
think we all expected the Celtics to come out and get a lead early in the first half.
Yeah.
I just didn't expect them to squander it before we got to halftime, especially not once they got it up to double digits. I thought Miami would be spending the second half clawing back. When we jumped on, it was about 15 minutes ago in real time. So I don't know. There was maybe 5 minutes left, if that. 3-4 minutes left
Mhm.
in the first half when we were in the pre-stream, and it was still a 12-point Celtics game. By the time we were live simultaneously on all 4 platforms here, they were tied. Like that's insane.
Yeah,
That's somebody's
seriously.
playing on rookie mode to make up 12 points in that amount of time. So my big
Right.
takeaway is Boston is incredibly sloppy with the basketball, and I don't understand. I just really don't understand it because they have a lot of smart offensive players between Marcus Smart, Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Derek White, Malcolm Brogdon. Like, these aren't the kind of guys that when you hear their names, you think, oh yeah, they're careless with the basketball. They don't make good plays on the offensive end. So
Right?
it's very confusing to see how sloppy they've been this first half.
Yeah. I'm gonna jump out and back in. I think I froze. I was just
Oh
trying to
yeah, I
figure out
do.
I
You've
was
got
just
like
trying to figure
a
out this thing here.
a contemplating face here, but no, it's all right. I'll be here.
Yeah.
We'll
I
see
was
you
just
when you get
listening
back.
really well.
Staring intently.
Yeah,
Yes.
right. Alright, I'll be right back. It usually kinda fixes itself here.
No worries. I will hang out with all of you here in the meantime. The stats on the screen, they're showing Caleb Martin, 14 points, the highest scoring half of his playoff career, leads all at least Heat scorers. I think that's all scorers, but all 3 players on this board play for Miami, so I'm not 100% certain. I'll tell you what, Chuck and Shaq are both rocking some amazing suits tonight. I mean, Kenny's isn't bad with the burgundy, but I mean, it's hard to compete with the pinstripe and the plaid like that. I mean, here I am in a hoodie. I feel like I should go suit up for halftime. All right, let's see what they're talking about here. For those of you on YouTube on playback, I'm going to turn the volume up here. So we're going to listen to a little bit of what the announcers have to say. So apologies for any dead air. Hit me up in the comments. Any thoughts about the first half? Wow, Struce hitting that. What are you going to do about it? Well, he's not chilling, Kenny. He's setting a screen. Well, I guess he is chilling. He's not. He's not selling. Not setting a screen. I mean, that's the thing. If Caleb Martin is gonna score this much, what are you gonna do? Boston is banking on giving Caleb Martin and Gabe Vincent and Duncan Robinson the looks, right? They're thinking if those guys beat us, so be it. But let's go. Justin Herbert in the chat. What is up, brother? Good to see you. Vikings really suck. Listen, John will be back. John will be back. We'll leave that for him. Come back and let him know how it's going. But let me know, Justin, who do you think wins this game? I am shocked. I thought the Celtics were winning this. I still think they're going to win it, but they're starting to scare me with the lack of effort and honestly just the lack of offensive intelligence in that first half. Really sloppy with the passes, and they just don't seem like they're on the same page right now. You're in the Eastern Conference Finals. How I know Malcolm Brogdon was a new addition to this team. I know that better than most because hi, Indiana Pacers fan, how you doing? However, Brogdon's been there for the entire season, as has Marcus Smart. Has been there for several seasons. For those of you keeping track at home, how is it possible that in this first half of the second game in the Eastern Conference Finals that 2 of your most important ball handlers are not on the same page? It just makes no sense to me. Let me know. We got some comments here. Justin Herbert. Let's see, brother. What do you think? Really just shows the complimentary ball Jimmy brings. Yes, I mean, it's all about Jimmy. It it really is. And they showed a lot about how Caleb Martin was able to take advantage of that in the first half, and that is because the Celtics are afraid of what Jimmy can do. They're willing to live and die by Kyle Lowry and Caleb Martin. So if the Heat are going to continue to shoot above their usual percentages, then this just might be their year. We mentioned that earlier in the show that they're shooting. I think there's 7 players shooting above their regular season averages so far for the Heat in the postseason. So they will get swept by the Heat, Justin Herbert says. Now, I don't think any of that has anything to do with the fact that there may be some sour grapes between Justin and the Celtics. I'm not going to bring it up specifically, but those of you longtime listeners, frequent listeners, they know what's up. There he is. He's back. Jimmy
Man,
brings the dog out of everyone, says Justin. How we doing, John?
good. We're back online. I missed a couple plays. Or no, this is just all right. Here we go. I
Not
couldn't
too,
get
yeah.
StreamYard to use my front camera once I got back in. It kept trying to. I think it was because it, like the playback, it's in use on playback, or I don't know. That's what took me so long.
Yeah, sometimes it gives us trouble here. We're trying to do a lot for a small brand. We're simulcasting on Twitch, Facebook, and YouTube, thanks to the glorious powers of StreamYard. If you're interested in hosting your own live shows, see the link below. You can set yourself up with a StreamYard. But we are also on playback TV, so that means our cameras and mics are working double time. So sometimes that can create a little bit of an issue, much like when you just decide that you're not going to guard Caleb Martin for the entire first half and he becomes the game's leading scorer, sometimes that can cause you some issues.
Yeah, that can be a problem at times.
So here we
Oh
go.
man, the rest of that team is so nuts. Once you get past Jimmy and Bam, it's such an interesting team.
I mean, we
Like,
talked about it. Not getting a lot of love for our take on how bringing Tyler Hero back into the fold might mess things up for the Heat, but I stand
dude,
by
it
it.
might. What? Like, I don't know. Like,
Duncan
I mean,
Robinson is finally out of the doghouse. Go ahead.
Duncan's out of the doghouse. Yes, he was a household name, 2 years ago, but
2 years ago, yeah.
out of nowhere, like Strus has come on. God,
they just swap them out. Yeah, it went Hero, then Duncan, then Strus, then back to Hero. Then Hero got hurt.
yeah.
Now it's back to Strus, and then hey, little Gabe Vincent every once in a while too.
Who would have thought like 2 months ago that you'd be like, oh, if Tyler Hero comes back, he might start eating into Gabe Vincent's minutes. Like,
well,
you know what I mean? Like, it's so nuts.
So a small shameless plug. So while I was working through pitch over at Last Word on Sports, getting all of our NCAA and NBA articles published for you fine folks at home, go check out all of our draft profiles, by the way. I saw a critique of the New York Knicks against the Miami Heat. And listen, I am admittedly, everybody knows where I sit on this fence because I have been very vocal for years about my disdain for Tom Thibodeau's rotation and his inability to trust anybody past the 7th or 8th guy on his rotation. But when it came to the Knicks versus the Heat and a certain Evan Fournier not playing at all, despite the Knicks' clear need for some perimeter scoring, for some 3-point shooting, I saw an article that said, if Eric Spoelstra has enough room in his rotation for Duncan Robinson, you would think Tom Thibodeau has enough room for Evan Fournier. And
Yeah.
I couldn't say it better myself. It just blows my mind. But yeah, Duncan Robinson, and it's not just the shooting. We've seen it tonight. People only expect him to run to the 3-point line and shoot threes. So he's been able to use that to his advantage, get a couple of backdoor cuts, easy layups tonight. Because they're a well-coached basketball team that looks for those kind of things. Who'd have thought?
Yep. Thibodeau also refused to go small ever when he had 2 complete non-shooters at the 5. I mean, we talked about their lack of shooting last week, or last week. But yeah, a rigid guy calling the shots. But these two gentlemen, well, at least Spoelstra, Missoula's rigid and uptight with his timeouts. He keeps those close to the vest.
He treats his timeouts like he gets a stipend for everyone he doesn't spend. Like at the end
Yeah.
of the game, he acts as if Brad Stevens is going to come down and give him $1,000 for every timeout
Yep.
he doesn't spend during the game. I don't
You,
understand it whatsoever.
you get fresh ones if you go to overtime. Don't worry about that. Like Missoula, it's fine, man.
You can't take them with you. It's not
Yeah.
they're not redeemable on the flight home. You can't get out
Yep.
of your seat when the seatbelt sign is fastened just because you took a couple of those timeouts home with you. So I don't know, Joe. I know it's your first year in the biz or in the big chair at least, but yeah, timeouts are your friend. You are
Mhm.
encouraged to use them. The NBA won't be mad at you. That's just more advertising hours. They're not mad.
That's
Go
right.
ahead and use them, bud. We're used to it.
What did James say it was too in the Discord that Spoelstra, the Celtics went on like a 7-0 run to start the fourth, and
And Spoelstra timed it.
Spoelstra
Yeah.
called a timeout immediately,
Yeah.
like a minute and a half in.
Immediately.
Yep.
Yeah, I can't remember what the numbers were, but yeah, it was something like a 40. It was a ridiculous, like the entire third quarter was a run, and
Yep.
Missoula wouldn't call a timeout. And then, the Celtics go on a 7-point run, and and I shouldn't say the better coach, let's be nice, the better coach calls a timeout after that. And you know
Mhm.
what? That guy has Jimmy Butler on his team. And uh, with all respect to the Celtics, I don't think there's anybody in Boston that's can give you a harder time than Jimmy Butler would do. So,
Mhm.
as the coach, it's not always going to be popular to make everyone go sit down when they're in the flow of the game and break up their energy. But hey, if someone just drops 7 on your head in the last 2 minutes, I'm calling a timeout. All right. I don't care.
Yep.
Yeah. Be mad at me if you want. Be mad at something because you're getting
Yep.
worked out there on the court. So whatever, take a minute, do whatever you got to do because whatever just happened is not good. And that's your
Yeah.
job as a coach. You can't go out there and play. You can only call plays and manage the flow of the game. It's
Mhm.
there's only as important as head coaches and assistant coaches are, their job really, like where they earn their money is in practice throughout the week and in preparation. Because once you're in the game, all you can do is call plays during timeouts or TV timeouts and make halftime adjustments. You don't have a ton that you can just shout stuff. It's hell, how hard is that to hear in a high school arena, let alone an NBA arena? You can
Right.
shout all you want. You're not that impactful. We all know it's about the 5 to 10, it's about the 10 guys on the court, but there are things that you can have control over. Like, wow, my team has gone on an 0-12 run. Maybe I should just call a timeout and give my guys a pep talk. It just,
Yep.
I'm sorry. I feel like I'm at this point, like mansplaining this to everyone else. But I'm sorry, Joe Missoula. I, I don't know how else. I don't know how else to break this down for you, sir.
No, exactly. And I feel like, in a lot of ways, Spoelstra's kind of taken that mantle from Greg Popovich. And you remember when Popovich, like, when the Spurs were good, they'd go down like 10-2 to start the game, and he'd just pull all 5 starters. And it was, Tony and Timmy and, Michael Finley or something. Like,
And
yeah,
then Manu
Bruce
and the
Bowen,
Funky
get
Bunch would
the
go
fuck
on
out of
a
here.
14-4 run. Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Yes. I
And
do
then,
remember that. Yeah.
yeah, and then 5, like, you know, extremely average players who pass their asses off and, box out would come in and just go on a 12-2 run, and it was just all, he played deep rotations, but he had a short fuse on stuff like that. Like, he wasn't going to let the momentum get too far away. Um, and I feel like, yeah, Spoelstra's kind of that guy now. He's kind of got these teams who, you
Oh,
know,
terrible pass.
outside of, the couple of stars, don't seem like these high powered, you know, teams, but they're always there at the end. They always, they're really tough out in the playoffs.
Well, and how many guys have come seemingly out of nowhere? So Duncan Robinson, second
Yeah.
round pick. Max Strus, was he undrafted? I think he was undrafted.
Yes.
Gabe
Gabe
Vincent.
Vincent.
None of these guys were touted prospects. And
Nope.
look at some of them have become household names.
Jimmy Butler.
Yeah, right.
You
I
know,
mean,
he kind of has a similar story. Obviously, he was already a star when he got to Miami, but I feel like his journey to where he is now really resonates with a lot of these guys on this roster
oh
too.
yeah, he
Like
was
it's
like the
got to be
12th
such a
man in
great.
Chicago out of Marquette.
Yep.
He was a defensive specialist. I mean,
Oh God.
you name dropped Bruce Bowen.
Yeah.
Early in Jimmy Butler's career, everybody thought, well, that's his ceiling is Bruce Bowen.
Right.
He's just gonna be a 3-and-D guy, and he
Mm-hmm.
turned into so much more. But yeah, he started out buried in that Chicago rotation and forced his way onto that court just
Mm-hmm.
through getting better and adding to his offensive game because he really did. I mean, he wasn't that great offensively in college. He didn't have
No.
a polished game. This wasn't a just a maybe it's an unfair comparison just because of the whole Marquette thing, but this wasn't Dwayne Wade coming out of
Yeah.
college.
Yeah, that's right. That's what I always picture Dwayne Wade whenever I think of Marquette basketball. He's like the only, that's always what's come to my mind because I remember him coming out. But
Yeah,
yeah,
because
like
no one really
Jimmy,
it made Marquette a household name. Yeah,
right. But Jimmy, yeah, like he didn't have any of this on ball like you would never have seen him running a pick and roll that high and just having all these actions go through him on the offensive side of the ball for his
yeah.
first 3 years. He won most improved his third or fourth season.
Right. Yeah, he wasn't a guy who you'd post up at the 3-point line and be like, "Yeah, just go to work. Everybody
Yeah,
clear
like
out."
any of this. It's so nuts. Like he's the whole engine of the offense throughout these playoffs. Like that's crazy to think about. Even like
While guarding the other team's best player.
right.
Because as we notice, the Celtics go up there and they're setting double screens just to make sure they get Jimmy off of Tatum, but Tatum's
Yep.
still settling for step back 18 footers. So, and this is my problem with Boston. It's not a Joe Mazzulla specific issue, by the way. I may had this same problem. They get very stagnant late in, not necessarily late in games. They just have stretches where they forget how to call a play. And it's just, we make fun of Budenholzer, rightfully so, for his let's just have Brooke Lopez set a pick for Giannis every play. But look,
Yep.
unless you're playing your dynasty in 2K23, and I guess, John, I'm maybe giving away a little bit of my game here. Call more than just a pick and roll. All right. It's not
Yep.
2K. You need to mix it up a little bit. You can't just sit here and call pick and
Yeah.
rolls all night.
Yeah, seriously. And they the Heat, like I feel like there are so many like triggers the way they run their offense, like everything flows into something else. Like they'll go a whole shot clock with seemingly scripted actions. They might just be that, you know, in tune. I mean, but like
Good
you talk about
pass.
how they're on a string on defense. It's the same way on the offensive side too. Like their spacing's always good. Like possessions stall, yeah, and you go, you get your Jimmy ISOs, but like I don't know, like there's not a lot of. I feel like Boston has a lot of empty possessions or wasted possessions. In Miami, it's just a little bit less so. They have some of the goofy turnovers, but like throughout game one and then, what we've watched since we hopped on the stream here, and they've been a little inconsistent coming into this too. Um, but yeah, like that looked like it was going to be something where you're like, oh my God, what was that weird turnover passing up a decent look at the rim? Like,
Yeah, I was just about to give them crap for Jaylen Brown not again. This is why they had to go get Malcolm Brogdon because not enough of their guys actually look to score when they are going to the rim. It's normally not
yeah.
Jaylen Brown. It's normally
Mhm.
everyone not named Tatum or Brown that drives to the rim while looking at the 3-point line the whole time for like, where's Jalen? Where's Jason? Like, who am I passing it to? But this time it was Jalen. It's like, oh, but yeah, it worked out because I think maybe even the Heat were just as surprised as
Yeah.
we were to see that go. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
You had a layup. What are you doing?
Yeah,
He had
and it's like
no intention of shooting that.
yeah, there's like some I don't know, when they're on, they're so good, but, like, when they're not, it just seems like there's hesitation. It just looks like a different team sometimes quarter to quarter. I know that. I mean, I know that happens a lot in the NBA where you have bad quarters or stinker games, but, like, I don't know, this team is super hot or cold. Like, I could see them winning the finals in 6, but I could see them losing to the Heat this series. Like, it's
In
just
5.
in 5, like, you
Like,
never
yeah,
know.
it's just like
You
either
never know.
extreme is reasonable
Yeah. Like, the
because
Heat
they get in these, they just get stun locked at times, it feels like, where it's,
mhm,
you're like, just call a timeout. Someone on the sidelines got to have a play they can draw up, just
right.
try anything else because those mistakes like we were talking about, I hate to keep beating this drum, but it's kind of mind-blowing with some of these sloppy passes on entry passes. That's just
Right.
two guys, that's just two teammates not being on the same page. Like
Yep.
there's no other way about that. We're
Or
talking
just a
about
swing pass,
yeah, it's just,
like, what?
are we not practicing at all? What are we doing in practice that
Mhm.
these guys feel like strangers to each other in the conference finals, by the way?
That's a good way to describe it. Yeah, sometimes they just seem like 5 really good pickup ball players that just, like, met, and we're like, "Okay, we got next, or the next 5."
Yeah, exactly.
And they're all
Like
really
there's no
good, but
figuring
it's
each
like
other out.
yeah.
Like what?
Oh, man. Like, Horford has looked interesting on the offensive side too. Like, he's looking really limber. Like, he seems pretty aggressive. Like, he's getting but he's not I don't know, like, if he gets the ball and he's going to attack, it's a, you know, right hook over his left shoulder off a little fake spin, and
Yep.
he's just, like, super aggressively dribbling, and, like, there's nothing really going on around him, or it's just, like, he's catching on the perimeter and then just seeing what's going on, like, I don't know, like, there's not a lot of that, not a lot of, like, drive and kick to the
Exactly. And
Celtics
that
O right now. Like, it's just a little, and what it is, it's like some weird thing like we just saw with that last play.
yeah, if it's either drive, but no one's buying it because I'm looking to kick right away,
Right.
or there's just no drive and kick at all. And that goes back to what I was talking about earlier about why Malcolm Brogdon was such a shot in the arm to this team. Because
Mhm.
he's the one guy who, if you give him a clean look at the rim, he's just going to take that finger roll. He wants
Yep.
to score too. And that
Oh,
was so
Jimmy.
big for Boston. Wow, Jimmy just coming in. But yeah, when they have a couple of guys, whether it be Horford or Smart, where you can almost bet on what they're going to do based on where
Right.
they catch the ball on the floor. You're like, "Oh, okay, well, you're
Right.
not a threat here. I know you're not a threat here. You're not gonna you don't want to do anything with this. You're looking to pass. You're not looking to finish." And that's why Brogdon, especially early on, was tearing defenses up because people were
Yeah.
used to last year's Celtics and they weren't used to a guy who was like, "Oh, we're just going to run this three-man weave, but since you guys all expect me to pass it to Tatum and Brown, I'm just going to go get 3 straight layups in a row until you call a timeout because you're going to have to guard me. I know you're not used to that. I know you want to let Marcus Smart drive it to the rim, but no, I'm going to just go ahead and score it. I'm not looking to pass." So they
Right.
need a little more of that, I think.
Yeah. I think Justin Herbert's talking about Jimmy here.
What he say? Everyone is trash when they play for us. The good old
The
Sixers curse.
Sixers
Hey,
curse. Hey,
oh,
man.
I feel that, man. You know, I live in a world where Pacers fans are willing to embrace and welcome back meta world peace. And he'll always be Ron Artest in my book. But
Yep.
I just, yeah, you got your title, man. Leave us alone. You cost us ours, and then you were able to go ahead and get yours. Leave Indianapolis alone.
Under a
But
pseudonym?
Yeah, under the world peace pseudonym of all. I'm the dude who, if you toss a beer on me, I'll go and just beat up the wrong guy. But later on, I'll change my name to World Peace, and I'll just get a pass because that's
Go
how
beat up
life
the bad
works.
guy.
Oh, Al Horford is who he
Oh
was
yeah,
talking about.
he actually did have a bad.
Oh.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Jimmy was actually good. Yes, Tobias Harris over me. Sorry, I'm sorry. I can't not do it.
Yeah, my Jimmy quote that comes to mind is screaming at the front office after taking the third stringers and beating the starters in a scrimmage at practice, saying, "Y'all effing need me," and then leaving. She showed up late to that practice and then just walked out. Like they were the starters wanted a rematch, and he just
He was like, no.
yeah, he just beat him. They beat him like 11 to 3 or whatever they were playing to, and then Jimmy just left. Yeah, and he was in a contract dispute at the time, and so he just showed up to do that. So funny,
There goes my hero.
right? Yeah, Justin Herbert. I wish we would have kept Jimmy too.
Yeah, I'm one of the few teams
Oof,
Jimmy Butler hasn't played for, so I don't really miss him. But
that was tough. Yeah,
that was a sick shot.
Kev. One of the jerseys I had growing up was a Paul George 24.
Ooh, okay. The
Yeah,
24.
I was a big Pacers guy when Paul George was coming up. I liked Danny Granger too a lot.
Danny Granger was my guy. It's funny, if we were doing this show, do you remember how we did the NFL draft where everyone had to live react with the big screen,
Yeah.
front and center when it was your team? At the time, because this was years ago, right? And I was not as in tune with my basketball knowledge. I was a big NBA guy, wasn't following all of college basketball. I think I was in middle
Mhm.
school or high school when Paul George was drafted. And I was like, who the fuck is this? A ninth overall pick. I was like, Paul George? First of all, you never trust a man with two first names.
Yeah.
And I just remember being that night because
Sounds auto-generated.
yeah, within a couple of days, I was good with it because I went and watched his college tape. But I was a casual back when the Pacers drafted Paul George. I was like, who is this? And I remember being so upset. But yeah, no, Danny Granger was he's always near and dear. What I feel like Danny Granger, not quite to the level of Brandon Roy or Grant Hill, but Danny Granger to me is definitely one of those what might have been guys as
He
Bam
was
just
putting up like
don't.
25 a game as a youngin.
Mm-hmm.
It's
I
crazy.
believe Justin says couldn't catch me dead in any Pacers gear.
I want to
It's all
grab a
right.
bottle of water real quick. I'll be right back.
I got plenty for both of us. No, you're good. I'm gonna take my break after you. Yeah, so the Paul George, the Pacers had a nice little draft run there. Lest we forget, they drafted Kawhi Leonard and then traded him for George Hill. Yeah, that's a thing that happened. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it, guys. It hurts. Still hurts to this day. Very tough. What's the worst? Let me know, chat. What is the most painful trade that you've had to deal with? We might have talked about this earlier this week, honestly, because I think I remember having to talk about what's his name, Trent Richardson. That was the worst Indianapolis Colts trade ever. But NBA fans, what's your worst trade? I think I already know Justin Herbert's. I think he gave it to us the other night, but or just an overall fleece. It doesn't have to be your favorite team. What's a trade that you're like, can you believe they made this trade? We can also talk about insane contracts that are being offered and signed. I about had a stroke when I heard what Austin Rivers is expected to get next year. I think that's when I started the Chandler Parsons chant. Not for me, man. Listen, I think Austin Reeves is a good player. Maybe And that's where I have to look and see the scale of all the other players. Maybe, for lack of a better term, with inflation, the way the league has gone with the new deals and stuff, maybe Austin Reeves is a 20 million a year guy, but it just I have a hard time wrapping my brain around that. I don't see it. I know he's a good player. I'm not saying he's not a good player. But there's something to be accounted for when you're not the guy. Everyone knows Austin Reeves is not the guy. And I have a feeling he's going to get big money and then go average 12 points, 7 assists, no, 7 rebounds and 4 assists somewhere. And be very good, be a very consistent and solid role player who is going to get overpaid for the next 4 years. That's my opinion on that. No worries, Justin. I know you don't have real hatred for the Pacers. No worries. 12 million tops 3 years, Lee says. Yeah, that feels right to me. That feels right. Interesting. Where does he fit? I think that's something we haven't talked about as he actually pops up. Austin Reeves pops up on screen there on the NBA on TNT feed. But where what would be some ideal landing spots for a guy like Austin Reeves? That's something we haven't talked about yet. So, as the game is about to come back, we'll switch back to commentary mode here as they are showing the highlight of Jimmy leaving one behind for Bam on that trailing slam. So here we go. The Celtics have a 1-point lead. There's 4 minutes, 40 seconds left in the third quarter. Those of you watching on YouTube, we always appreciate you. YouTube, Twitch, Facebook. If you want to see the action, you can watch with us live on Playback TV. We also, easy for me to say, pal, we also have a chat there. But have no worries. We will keep you in the loop as Bam Adebayo hits that nice mid-range jumper. About as deep as you can be in the paint there. Jason Tatum bringing it up. This is what I like. They're actually running some off-ball sets. We see Robert Williams set a screen for Jaylen Brown. Then he sets a very half-hearted screen back on the ball for Brown. But then see, here we go. Then it just turns into nothing. I mean, Tatum hits that shot, though. Ah!
There's that
Miami
confident
Heat.
Tatum there.
Ooh, Lee, when we were talking about Austin Reeves, John, while you were away, we were talking about potential fits for Austin Reeves lineup wise. And Lee mentions Miami to replace Duncan Robinson. I think that would be a very good fit.
That'd be something.
I think Reeves could fit that culture there.
Yeah, lunch pail guy.
It's a real gym rat, No.
Real gym rat. He's got some on ball juice too.
It's a real workhorse.
Little bit of probably a better defender than Duncan.
Well, I mean, so are you and I, but
yeah, that's true.
no. I'm
That's
just
true.
kidding, guys. It's all right. But no, he is a better defender than Duncan.
Yeah, that'd be
little bit
kind of interesting. What do you say?
He's
12
no Sean
million.
Marion out there. All right. Well, you got it. Can you hold him down for a minute? I got to step away.
Sir.
Be right back, folks.
Yes, sir. Man, Zeller, it does not look good with that mask. All right. Who called a... That looked like such a goofy kind of foul on that 3 from Tatum. Ball don't lie here. Caleb Martin. We got Cody Zeller up top. So the non-Bam minutes are just going to kind of go to Zeller, I guess. Look at that take. Horford off the court too. Yeah, so this is... They have Jimmy off the ball here. He was getting that Tatum matchup a lot. There's old Bob on the floor. That's a big difference this year is having a healthy Robert Williams. The Celtics can go to those two big lineups when they want to. It's a just the Heat just muck up everything you try to do on offense. They're so good. So now that leads back up to 7 for Boston, and this has been a really good quarter for them. It's 25-14. They're outscoring them. It's 54-50 at half. They needed a big third for sure. It can't go into that fourth, down multiple scores. I don't think. It's just the Heat just don't make many dumb mistakes. Oh, wow. Here's a switch he wanted. What is that? Wow. That was the craziest step back I've ever seen. He did a whole that big ass jump to create some space there was nuts. Marcus Smart. Big 3 from the corner. 11-point ball game. See, now you could see Boston running away with it potentially if Jason stays playing so confident. Okay. Yep, back to the corner. Good little sneaky screen from Jimmy. I think he might have even put a little hand out on Brogdon there to slow down the closeout just enough.
Ooh.
Wow, Zeller up on that screen. Kev, welcome back. Oh, wow.
Oh, Caleb Martin.
Quick
Even though
5-point swing.
He only had 14 points in the first quarter, and they're still like, yep, we'd rather you beat us than Jimmy.
Yeah.
Although I don't know. There are certain fast break situations where I will say save it for another day. Why cost yourself the foul? So sometimes the other team just beats you, and your best bet is just to let them have the layup. So maybe that was the thought process there. No need to hit Caleb Martin up with a cheap foul, but if he hits this 3 here,
he just hit another corner one too before that.
Oh, and there's Brogdon. Do you see how Brogdon went? Did you see how he went full? He was looking for the contact. Most players would have went to the right side of the rim to avoid. He immediately, as soon as he had his hands on that ball and had control, you could see him drift to the left. He wanted contact with Jimmy. He wanted the one because he knew he was already on the inside, and that Jimmy, in order to block him, has to reach over the top of his head, which 9 times out of 10 is a foul. Just so smart. Like, those are the small things that, you might not catch, but that's where a guy like Brogdon, who's not the most athletic guy on the court, can just be a sneaky, that's how he was able to average 20 to 22 points back in Milwaukee before his knees and every other part of his leg just gave out on him time after time.
Yeah, he was good in Indiana too. Oh, nice little pass. Nice movement. See, and I love Tatum just pulling that trigger too. He's got to stay.
Yeah, he's got to do it.
He's got to keep a hair trigger because he's not going to get.
What is Kyle Lowry upset about?
That's what I was trying to figure out. He was shook about it. He's still shook.
He's still very mad about it, and it's not that I don't mean to say that in a way that I think there's nothing there. We have yet to see an angle that makes it clear to us. Or at least to me. I don't know if you saw it, John, but I
was having trouble making it out. Yeah.
We see Caleb Martin just spending this entire free throw having a very spirited discussion with the official. So I don't think Kyle's alone. Something, this might be where I should just turn the TNT broadcast on my ears for a second to see if they can provide a little insight here, because I don't really know what's going on. Nope. They're pitching me the Bob Lanier Award. Never mind. We're back.
Yeah.
I was like, I picked the worst time. As soon as they cut to an ad.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. So let's hang out back to chat while we're sitting here in free throws. It's an 8-point Boston lead. We got, actually, you know what? Chat, hang out with me here for 1 second. We only have 23 seconds left in the third quarter. We have commercials coming up, so that's the perfect time for us to jump back to chat and see what is going on. We have some Facebook comments to look at, John. Back to my question of biggest fleeces, worst trades of all time, stuff like that. Brogdon with 7 seconds left off the rebound, kicks
JT's
it to
gonna dance.
Tatum. Yep.
He's gonna
Ooh,
dance.
the step back, maybe gets away with the travel.
Yeah, potential
Heat
travel
might
for
have
sure.
gotten away with the foul. I think, yeah, good no call. Good no call there. There was a lot going on in that possession, but let's see. Lee says Celtics will not give Brown to competition. Oh, yeah, but that's in response. Okay, so let's go back here. We were talking about Reeves. Justin
Reeves
Herbert
and
says the
Jaylen Brown.
Sixers are going to get Austin Reeves and Jaylen Brown. Any win Harden leaves, which it is being reported, as we all knew at this point, thank you, Twitter, that James Harden is looking Houston's way in the offseason. He's, of course, going to pass on his player option to stay in Philly. So
Yeah.
what do you think about, Reeves or Brown going to Philly? You think either of those are possible? Lee says the Celtics will not give Brown to the competition. I would say that would infer that if Brown gets traded, he's going to the Western Conference. Any thoughts on either of those, John?
Yeah, I think I'd agree with Lee there. I could see Reeves to Philly though for sure. Um, it's tough to. It's probably going to have to be a relative overpay to, kind of discourage the Lakers from just matching it.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's
Because
true. You probably
they
won't have to
might.
overpay much because LA probably doesn't have a lot of free cash. But yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I
It
mean, they
won't
might
take
match.
much to overpay. Yeah, it won't take much to price LA out.
Yeah, they might match up to a decent number though. Because he's been so crucial to this run for them.
Oh yeah, lest we forget,
You know,
or at least I won't put all of you in the same boat with me, but there were a lot of us that when LeBron and AD were out with only, what was it, about a dozen games left in the regular season, plenty of us had the Lakers done, and it
yeah,
was Reeves and Vanderbilt and Beasley. It was
yep,
a lot of the young guys pulled it together. So yeah, he
yep,
certainly has value, and he's played pretty well
hmm
in the playoffs as well. I think he's been assertive enough. That's another thing. He's taken direction and also been assertive and a good teammate to LeBron James. I think that counts for something too. Like, that's,
yeah,
many a player have wilted under that spotlight, and
yes,
Austin Reeves has hung with it. Remember that meme when LeBron was explaining something to Reeves? He just looks like a deer in headlights. Just,
yeah.
yeah, he's
That's
come
a
a
good
long
one.
way from being
Yeah,
that kid
man.
who was like, "Whoa, I'm way in over my head here," and
hmm
now he's a
LeBron was
leader on that
probably
team.
LeBron was probably recalling perfectly like 19 plays in a row from the last game.
Yeah, he was like, "It's the third quarter," and he's like, "Remember that first possession in the second quarter? They did this," and he's like,
Yeah. What?
"What? No, what?" Um,
Yeah.
so I had asked a question earlier, John, about the biggest fleeces or worst trades from they could be from your favorite team or from anyone. Justin Herbert says, biggest fleece of all time, David Wells to the Padres. Was that after he threw the half drunk perfect game? Is that how is that how they spent big money on him? Right? 'Cause did
Sure.
he do that for the Yankees or did he do that for the Padres? Do you remember
Yeah, I
this?
mean, you're gonna have to try Herschel Walker trade. You're gonna have to try to top that. As far as you're talking like free agent signings, though, I mean, there was Hainsworth to the
Oh,
Washington,
yeah, that's a good
Albert
one.
Hainsworth,
Yeah,
uh,
just biggest burns in general. Yeah, we don't
Burns.
have to
Okay,
stick to
yeah,
trades. Yeah, it can just be the worst moves your team's ever made.
yeah. What else?
I got another NFL take for you later during our next commercial, but
Okay,
do you see it? If you see it, well, the game's about to start up, so here we go. Back to the action. Fourth quarter starts. I got to get my voice deeper for the MMA fighting that I do.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
I get really excited because it's a live event, and then I go back and listen to it, and I'm like, oh yeah, hey, that's a great right hook he throws there, and so I'm like, all right, guys, we got to start doing deep voice for the
Yeah.
commentary, so I can
And we're alive.
got to get better at it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's a great layup there by Robert Williams. Yeah. What is up, Michael
Hey, brother.
Allen? Let's go. Let me hear your best. Bang!
Oh,
Bang!
bang! Bang!
Ooh, Robert Williams with the stroke. 11-point lead for Boston. Now, have no fear, fans that are hoping for a close game, because this is exactly what happened last night when we fired the stream up. I thought
Right
game
where they
was
want 'em.
over. I was like, oh, look, this one's not going to be entertaining. And then the next thing you know, we were here late. Not as late as hockey fans were last night, though. John, did you catch any of the 7 periods of hockey that were played last night?
I did not, but I heard about it. That sounds like some wild action.
It was.
Ooh!
Oh!
That split cut was nasty.
Oh!
Wow.
God damn. Oh, sorry, guys. I might have spit up a little bit.
I know, right? Ooh, another really good cut. That might be a charge.
Nothing gets me going like some good off-ball action in the half-court
Yeah.
offense, John. Oh,
Oh, he
man.
might have been in the restricted area.
Ooh,
He's
here's a
pissed.
Lee
I am
has a
so good at the
good
hype.
NBA question for us here also coming up, which let's see. What are we back to the action? We got a free throw coming up. So let's look at that. Lee says, since I was born in Kansas, a question about the NBA draft. Hey, that's fair. That makes sense. Where does Grady Dick go in the draft? That is interesting. So I don't know. We have just started up our NBA draft profiles over on the Last Word on Sports. I would think I'm trying to think right now of a need. So you base it on 2 things, right? There's position, in the draft, not necessarily position on the court, but then need, right? So
Mhm.
for instance, Scoot Henderson, in my opinion, is the second best player by far in the NBA draft, and he might fall out depending on who Portland trades him to. He could fall out of the top 4, top 5 because
Yeah.
everybody drafting already has a point guard. So it's not necessarily always about how good you are. We maybe not to the same extent as the NFL where they have 7 rounds and you see guys drop 4 whole rounds. We don't have that in the NBA, but we do have some guys that fall. So I mean, for me, I'm thinking mid to late first for Grady Dick, but I don't know, John. What are your thoughts?
Well, I just went to, look up a couple of mocks to see where, how they have it fall. And the first one that came up was Pacers taking them at 7, actually.
No way.
Yeah. That was the first thing that came up. And I was like, oh, wow, that's a little higher than I thought. But it's funny that it's
that's
Cavs Pacers.
that's that I didn't make that. It's not my mock draft, guys. But
Right.
would I hate it? I don't know. I'd have to think about that one. I don't know if that's interesting. Now I'm gonna have to look that up. I don't know what I want the Pacers to do at 7, to be honest. I spent the last couple of weeks hoping they would slide up to 4. Um, well, to be realistic, I wanted anything 4 through 6 before I realized that 5 and 6 were unobtainable because the NBA draft lottery is as easy to figure out as linear calculus.
I know somebody who's like projected to pick like ninth, all of a sudden it'll be a different team that's selected at ninth, and it's like, oh, this team that was originally at 9 has now jumped into the top 4, and you're like, what?
Yeah, or you could be a Pistons fan, watch your team win 17 games just to get the 5th overall pick. That's sorry. Shout out to my younger brother who is a Detroit Pistons fan.
Caleb
Oh,
Martin
sorry,
has
bud.
25, in case anyone hasn't checked the box score in a while.
Ooh, Jaylen Brown with the nice catch and shoot turnaround mid-range jumper for the 9-point lead. Uh, Lee says Houston with Harden. Michael says, I think I'm a mid to late first, to be honest. I don't know if you guys saw my draft profile.
Oh, bam.
Ooh, bam.
Bam
We'll
was
take you.
hot.
Well, I will say, for what it's worth, Michael was a first-round pick for Bite Size Sports. You know, we took him early in the first round. We
Yeah.
might have traded up to get him. If we
Yeah,
didn't,
cash
we would have.
considerations.
You know,
Oh, man.
what we really did is we pulled a savvy Chris Ballard, and we were ready to take him, but we traded down a spot or two. And oh, what is this call? What's the
Uh, there's a collision down low.
Tatum? Oh,
That was just like a weird
is that a double flop? I feel like that was a double
that might be a
flop.
double flop.
What are you guys doing?
They're both just, like, trying to find a ref to look at like this.
Like the 6'9", they're both just laughable to me. The fact that I don't even know who the foul got called on there. I need to turn the volume on my stream, but good for
Oh,
you, Bam,
Duncan.
if you sold that. Oh, Duncan
He's out of the
Robinson.
doghouse.
Here's to you, Mr. Robinson.
Yeah. Mr. Robinson.
Oh, yeah, they're just gonna let Robert Williams have that, but he's gonna take it.
Hey, hey, hey.
John, Michael says, "No, there is some collusion. John pulled a Matt Nagy and gave me the Bite Size Sports playbook so I'd get drafted higher." He also has a buddy who's a Pistons fan. He loves Detroit everything. Oh, so he knows nothing but pain. Yeah, especially when you consider, even the Michigan State Spartans haven't gotten you a title since 2001. There's not much around that area to like.
Oh, Caleb Martin. He should have put that back up. I don't know
I
what's happening.
think the Tigers got a title in the last 20 years, but yeah, Caleb Martin
Verlander was
pulling a
sick.
J.R.
Red
Smith.
Wings. Red
Oh
Wings
yeah,
title
that's
recently.
the curse. It's what you get for having 27 years in a row of the playoffs with the Red Wings.
That's the
They
curse.
had the Detroit basketball.
That's a
You
cool
had
team.
those titles that you won because Ron Artest is an idiot. Congratulations on those, Detroit fans. You're welcome.
Yep.
I'm
And
not bitter.
benefactors of the 2-3-2 format of the finals that was still in place in 04. They got those three
Oh
home games in a
yeah,
row.
I forgot about that. Was old school, man. Yeah, the
Mhm.
2-3-2. Shaq forgot about that too the other day. Did you see that when he was
No.
talking? He couldn't figure out. He was saying something like, I think it was the Knicks. He was saying, they only need to pack one set of clothes because they're going home after this. And
Oh,
everybody's
you're
like, they're
bringing up
already
Shane.
going home after this. Game 6 is in Miami or whatever. That's like game 6 is in New York. And then so he tried to change it. He's like, only pack one set of clothes because you're staying at the beach after you lose or something. Like he
Yeah.
completely
Oh,
had
yeah.
no
I
idea
did
what
see that
year it
clip.
was. It was hilarious, man. I loved it.
Yeah,
Let's
that
see,
shit was
Justin. Here
classic.
we go. That's right. We got somebody to clear up this Detroit pain. Tigers and Pistons got rings. Could always be worse. Padres, Sixers, Chargers. Yeah. I feel that pain. Listen, okay, I'll rattle mine off. Colts, Cubs, Expos as well, because I inherited my mother's Expos. The only year they would have won a championship, all of baseball went on strike. So, we want to talk about being cursed. Pacers and Notre Dame hasn't won a national championship since I was born. And IU, Indiana basketball, hasn't done anything since Tom Coverdale back in 2003, the Jared Jeffries team, if you remember that. And yes, it's just
That's
nothing but
painful.
pain and suffering. But the way I see it, I sold my soul for the 2016 World Series. I didn't know it at the time. I think a lot of Cubs fans inadvertently traded their souls in for an inevitable, or I should say not inevitable, for an unlikely World Series, coming back from 3-1 and then giving up a tying home run in game 7 like that. Like I thought it was,
Mhm.
oh my God. Yeah. So nothing, I'm just good. I'm playing with house money for the rest of my life because for
Yeah, there you go.
28 years I was like, the Cubs will never win a World Series. That's insane. And then they did it. So what's going to top that for me?
Yeah.
Nothing. Nothing but a Pacers NBA Finals at this point, and
Exactly.
that's just
That's
because I'm
why
a
I'm all
hothead.
good too. I mean, the Twins hung a banner when I was -7, so I've always got that to look back on. And otherwise, I got the Vikings and the Timberwolves.
The-
So
Man, oh.
the '91 World Series is the best thing I've got.
The Timber, oh, it breaks my heart too because you guys had some squads. Like as much as Wally Zerbiak and I have been at odds in recent months. It didn't start
Yeah.
that way. All right, former Miami of Ohio Red Hawk Wally Zerbiak. I had a lot of reasons to like that guy.
A
You
buddy of
guys.
mine, a buddy of mine's older brother was roommates with Wally Zerbiak in college.
Oh, there you go. Okay, I'm sure he had a good time.
Yeah,
But
I'm kind of part of Wally's world.
they had what? Sam Cassell, they had Wally, they had
Latrell Sprewell,
Latrell Sprewell, well, of course,
Michael
Garnett was there,
Olowokandi,
Oliver Candy. I mean, they had good squads. Trenton Hassel was a solid
Trenton
player.
Hassel, Fred Hoiberg,
Hoiberg, my
Mark
dude, yes.
Mark Mad Dog Madsen.
I love so many of those Timberwolves teams because being maybe it was just right age, right place, right time, but I really found myself rooting for like expansions or newer teams, and
Mhm.
although
Gary Trent the
Minnesota,
first.
oh yeah, like Christian Leitner was a big like why how did a guy who was that good in college end up? I mean, he was an all-star for 1 year in the NBA, but like what
Yeah,
happened there? You really thought
Dream
like
Team.
Isaiah Rider? Ah,
Isaiah Rider, good
that was
call.
the Timberwolf that
Anthony
I was like,
Peeler.
mm.
Who else
Marbury, of
was
course.
Marbury was fun. Duncan is so feeling it right now. He's
Oh yeah.
pulling.
He's gonna just keep shooting. I'm gonna
Yeah.
switch over to the YouTube here, check out the chat a little bit, see what's going on. Michael says the Brewers and Kings are the only team I follow that have never won a championship. Yeah, so he's on opposite ends of that. Justin Herbert, our dear friend, says, I'm going to talk to the Soul Sellers if the Padres don't do it this year. Yeah, it might be time. If that Padres team doesn't figure it out, man, somebody's going to get a refund on the soul that they sold because how does that yeah, I don't understand. I still don't understand. That team feels like a team I would have put together on the show, when I turned trade logic off. It's just like
Yeah.
how the hell did you put that team together? Ooh, big shot from Grant Williams puts
I thought
the
I keep
Celtics back
getting
up 9.
you zoom out and you can't tell if he's Brogdon or Grant Williams. They're weirdly close in height, actually. Grant's not that tall.
Yeah, they are. And it's 12 and 13. Thank
Yeah,
God
12 and
Brogdon's
13,
got the
exactly.
half arm sleeve. Otherwise, it'd be
No,
okay.
oh.
Grant and Jimmy. Oh, Grant. I know that's what Grant Williams does. Okay, that's what he brings. Jimmy Butler is not the guy to do that to. You have a 7-point lead, and you decide you're going to give Jimmy Butler a reason, right? Like
Oh, no.
that's so. Look at him laughing at. That's so dumb.
And he's, like, starting it.
You are so dumb, Grant Williams. I'm sorry.
No.
I just
That's
wow.
not good. I don't think that's good either.
Oh, oh, YouTube, Twitch, Facebook viewers. I hope you're seeing what we're seeing. If not, you can join us on Playback TV to see Grant Williams lose his mind live on television.
He's giving Jimmy a reason. They were just jaw-jacking. Wow.
Oh man, you should know better at this point in your life, Grant Williams. You ought to know better than to provide a rebel with a cause. All right, because they'll do fine on their own without one. And now you
Yep.
just gave him a reason.
Oh
6 minutes with
my
only a 6-point lead.
goodness.
Oh, I was about to say, you better hope Jason. See, Jason Tatum knows because how often do you see him chase his own rebound
He's
with that
following his
much
shots.
aggressive
That's how
aggression?
that's how
Like,
dire
yeah,
it is right now.
he's like, God damn it, Grant. Like, I guarantee you, as soon as they get in that locker room, there's gonna be there's gonna be people lining up to give Grant Williams a piece of their mind. Like, you
Especially
idiot.
especially watch Jimmy. He's like, give me the fucking ball. I'm bringing it up. Shut up. You guys get out of my way. Oh, yep. Grant's at the top, dude. This is gonna be
ISO.
okay. Immediate ISO. Here we go.
Yep, there it
Landed on the
is.
wing.
Oh, he's gonna put. Oh, he's only 5 seconds left though. Oh, but I mean that's just too easy. Are you kidding me? And then he does a little boy. Yeah, I hate
Kidding.
that. I hate the too small celebration, but I mean, I also grew up in a time where the rules were if you don't start none, there won't be none, you know. So
Mhm.
Grant, you kind of brought this on yourself.
Oh, he did. This is almost a they're on such a string. It almost looks like a zone right now. I don't think it is, but
Yeah, they're over committing and then just switching,
yep,
even without picks, they're just switching. It does have it's man to man with zone principle, really,
yep.
right? Like you're
And that's
taking
what
the
Bam
man that's
allows you to
closest
do.
in your quadrant, like you
Yep.
have a section and once a guy crosses into your section, then which is I mean, that's a pretty high level thing, pretty high level concept. I mean, not for NBA players, you wouldn't think, but you don't see it run a lot. It requires a lot of communication. So, Golden State, for instance, that's where Draymond can take some credit, where, you have guys like that are good at calling out the defensive assignments, and you can do that man to man with zone principles. But yeah, very, very nicely done. But I would say Boston nursing this 5-point lead with 5 minutes left. Let's see, heading over to the YouTube, Facebook, Twitch comments. Back to the baseball world here for a second. Speaking of the Padres, bad luck. Machado just broke a bone in his
Money.
hand.
Oh.
Probably at least a month on the IL. That is a bummer. I how does it, they're one of they kind of remind me of the Clippers a little bit, right? Where they go and get these couple of superstars and like how many games have we gotten to see them actually play together? Because I
Mhm.
think that was I was like, oh, Machado and Tatis, by God, and then what was it, a motorcycle
The
accident?
travel. Another
Oh,
fourth quarter travel. What the
let's
heck?
see. I want to see this call before I wait. What?
That was it.
I don't see it. I didn't see it.
Was it before he took his first like
Oh, the back, Jalen Brown, sir. Uh, I mean, great play, Duncan Robinson. Respect where it's due, but come on, are you
what a
kidding me?
fucking Bam pass too. He like kind of faked the DHO or just the handoff. He was just standing there.
Oh, good pass to the corner. Grant's gonna hit that. Ooh, nope. Jalen Brown with the rebound. Kick that out. It's 1-on-4. Jalen. Just not smart right now. Boston's not playing smart basketball. What was the call there? Did they just give an offensive foul? I gotta turn the volume on for that one. I think that was an. Is this a kick out? Oh, yeah. I mean, Smart got him on the
Yeah.
wrist. How funny is it? Oh, Reggie Miller of all people. And listen, I'm gonna stand up for a second, okay? Just because, in case anyone isn't sure. All right, listen. There are
Let's
few bigger Pacer fans on this platform, but Reggie Miller of all people just said that the offensive foul should be on Jimmy Butler for extending his leg during the three. Do you know the reason why? That's an offensive foul. It's because of Reggie Miller getting all of those calls for years. So, oh, my brain just turned into scrambled eggs hearing him say that on
this
air.
commercial's wild. What's happening?
Oh yeah, this is the eyes wide shut portion of the programming. So, the enter password Fidelio in the chat, and you'll be sent a link to our Patreon. But yeah, you just can't tell anybody about it. Ooh. All right, what's another Celtic meltdown? Lee says, "Yeah, this is what when we've been critiquing Joe Mazzulla, it's been for stuff like this. Like this is where it feels like there's a lack of leadership, and it doesn't make sense to me because you have Al Horford on that team, and neither Tatum nor Smart nor Brown are rookies anymore, right? They're incredibly young, but also they've been in the league for half a decade at this point. So
Mhm.
they have the experience enough
It's
that
their
you would
4th
think,
conference finals together.
yeah.
Tatum and Brown, and Smart.
So it's just sort of like, does Missoula have too much faith in these guys because of their success, and now he's not, or is it a situation where they've had too much success, and so now they aren't listening to a first time head coach? I mean, maybe they didn't have that with Ime because Ime played for Pop, and while he was no all-star, he was a very good 3-and-D guy. He was a quality NBA player in his time.
Mhm.
I doubt that anyone who spent a lot of time with Ime Udoka doubted his NBA, doubted his court awareness and his smarts, but I don't understand what's going on here with Missoula and the Celtics bunch, because it does just seem like they make these inexperienced mistakes, but they're an experienced team. It's not like there's a
Yeah.
lot of turnover on this roster. And the guys that they've added are Derek White, who they traded for last year, who they acquired from Greg Popovich, by the
Played
way.
for
So
Pop,
he's not the
yep.
problem. It doesn't make any sense to me. Just as always, something heading over to our Facebook and YouTube comments for those of you watching on Playback TV. I don't know why, Kev, something always happens to my teams. Although I guess Tatis just hit a home run, so there we go. All right, Justin, you got a little something. You got a little something going. Says, "Hey, John, Eckler and Zeke, best backfield in the NFL." Yeah, that was something he brought up earlier. I didn't get to bring up to you, where he said, "Let me find it here," that Zeke is going to sign with the Chargers, John. So while we're still in timeout here, you do host our NFL program with Nick and Michael on Tuesday nights, Necessary Roughness, 9 p.m. Eastern. So what do you think about Zeke going to the Chargers, John?
It's a, what is it, Joshua Perry upgrade? Joshua Perry?
Josh Kelly?
Joshua Kelly. Yes, yes. I had the vowels right.
You were there.
Yeah.
Steve Perry.
Yeah, right. Um, Upgrade there. You kind of bring you know, that could, well, let me know your sources, by the way. But, like, he might be a decent, like, short yardage back for you. Might be able to ground and pound, might be able to hang on to a 27-point lead with a guy like Zeke in the mix. Yeah, I
Hey,
could see
listen, all
that.
right, all
I could
right.
see
As a
that.
guy who roots for teams that squander 33-point leads, I take offense
Oh,
to that.
there you go. Yeah, you do have them beat.
Look at this ISO. Look at Bam calling off and
Oh,
saying, "You know
wow.
what? I'm just gonna take Al to the rim." What? I swear, I got Mandela affected into a different universe.
Yeah. That's a good call, Lee. Zeke is a good pass protector.
That would be good. Yeah, that's true. I mean, Zeke isn't. I think we all know Zeke isn't the guy he used to be, but those are some things that I think he's going to be a quality addition as long as he's ready and willing
Mhm.
to have a smaller role. I think he'll be great for any team, but I can only see him playing for a true playoff contender. So yeah, like a spot like the Chargers, but part of me wonders if he's really going to be willing to. I almost see Zeke going to a spot where there isn't an Austin Eckler that's established, where there's, hey, listen, this guy's definitely our RB1. So when you come in, you're coming in as RB2 without a doubt. I just don't know if Zeke's at that point in his career. Physically and with on the field, I think that's where he's at. I don't know if he mentally is willing to accept that that's where he's at in his career, if
Or are we
that makes
just gonna
sense.
have hella split backfield, 20 personnel with Eckler out in the flat and Zeke protecting, or some like
Yeah, I mean, you could do that too. You could split Zeke out wide on a number, or not Zeke, sorry, Eckler out wide a number of
yeah,
times. He has
or
the
you can
ability to do
just
that.
yeah, you can motion him out into the slot a little bit. You can go with the two backs.
Yeah,
Zeke
like
not
it.
not playing fullback, but you can You can go split backfield and just kind of do some stuff out of that.
And they line up in the shotgun a lot too, right? So for instance, instead
Yeah,
of
Kellen Moore coming over.
maybe a 2 tight end set, you run out of the shotgun with 2 running backs
Right.
instead, and then Zeke takes that role of pass protection. And yeah, so I mean, you could do a lot with that, especially I
Yeah.
took a lot of flack this last season for my support of Kellen Moore. I maybe it's just being impressionable by the Boise State blue turf and just having maybe I'm just biased to my love for Boise State, but
Yeah, that entrances me to some extent too.
I am excited to see what he can do outside of Dallas. Let me just put it that way. But also, that being said, maybe Zeke should just go somewhere else too for Kellen's sake.
Right.
Maybe don't give Kellen that whole thing to deal with. He's already
Yeah,
dealt with
there's
that
that
before.
connection. Oh, this game's nuts. If anyone, it is. If anyone took the over on that 10-point spread, you're a dumbass.
What I thought was funny was it stayed even when Miami had a decent lead. I think it was Boston were 4.5 point favorites. So even then,
Oh.
Vegas knows. They're like, listen, the away team doesn't win these games, but there's Jimmy. There's Jimmy again.
There's Jimmy one-on-one with Grant Williams for the fourth time since he started talking shit. And there's a turnover. There's a really bad
A
turnover.
really bad Boston turnover. What a week.
And
Yep.
and look at the Heat taking their time after Boston rushed and rushed. The Heat get back. They
And what
had
does Jimmy
numbers.
do? He calls for a screen so he can get who on him? Grant Williams. And then yep. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Grant,
He
you
says, nah, no
idiot.
Marcus Smart. Give me Grant.
Grant, you
Let that be a
idiot.
lesson to all the guys like me out there who are going to be role playing 3-and-D guys. Know your role and know who you shouldn't talk shit to during an important game. All
That's
right.
a shove from Al Horford. The putback doesn't count.
There are certain times in life where you should not punch up. And this would be one of them for Grant Williams.
Look at the
Yeah.
faces he's
See?
making on the way back down the court,
Yeah.
dude. This is so awesome. And
Like,
I'm pulling for I like the Celtics,
I know.
but this is just awesome.
I wanted Boston, LA for the finals, the battle for 18, right? But
Mhm.
no, at this point, you get what you deserve.
Like
I feel
I spent a lot of my formative years vehemently rooting for the Celtics over the Heat, from
mhm.
2010 to 2014, that one of that Rondo 44-point playoff game is one of my favorite memories when KG was hurt.
Justin definitely knows my influences. Justin's picking up on my 90s attitude era lingo here. Know your role and shut your hole.
Yeah.
If you smell la, 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 la. What
If you
Jalen
smell it,
Brown
you
is
know.
not cooking because that was a brick right there. Oof.
This is unreal, man. The Celtics blew 2
2-0
big leads.
lead. Wow. If they a 2-0
Grant
lead going
Williams,
into Miami, we talked about it earlier. That's the one thing they
completely clear
couldn't
side
do.
of the floor. Oh, he finally missed one.
That was Brogdon on him. Yeah, Grant
Oh,
Williams is off
see?
the floor. Yeah.
Okay, I did the same thing. I was like, "There's
Grant
that
Williams has a
matchup
seat
again."
next to Coach. Actually, he's probably at the end of the bench. I don't think Coach wants him nearby right now.
Oh,
Ooh,
splits it.
Tatum splits the
He
defense.
tried to split
Draw.
the
You
second
call that a
one.
charge?
Oh, man.
Oh, I don't know about that one, sir. I do not know about that one, sir. Yeah,
Oh,
Lee
yeah?
Williams found the pine. Yeah,
I think he was there. I think he
that
was there.
was he there? I missed. Oh,
Oh, yeah, he's there all day.
oh.
Jimmy Butler, dude.
Ooh,
He's
I
there all
mean,
day.
that might be oof. I mean, he was there. That might be a flop. I question whether or not Tatum had the forward momentum to actually knock anyone over, but you're right. Like his feet were there.
Yeah.
A
Did you
good
see
sell
that
is a good
graphic?
sell.
JT and JB have combined for 3 points this quarter. Jimmy's got like 10.
Ooh, there's a lucky bounce. Oh,
Wow.
and then they get Gabe Vincent wide open. Ooh,
Oh, perfect tip out. Gabe wanted to pull that shit in.
he wanted so bad.
Oh, man.
He could feel Eric Spoelstra's death gaze on him. Like
Yeah, right.
you do not shoot that. I think I have to look at the clock here. Is that what's happening?
They might have reset it late. Yeah, they were 2 seconds late on the reset.
Okay.
Oh God.
Oh, they originally reset to 24 because it's the clock guy's first day.
Yeah, right.
He
Oh my
hasn't done
God,
this. He
another
hasn't done
Jimmy
this job in
ISO.
3 years.
The Jimmy ISO is happening. The turnaround. The Bam board.
How there are
Oh,
4 Boston Celtics in the paint there with him, by the way, folks. Those of you
yep.
who might just be listening online. Wow.
3-point foul.
Wow.
Yuck.
Falling apart. No box out. Okay.
Nobody's
I
box
know
out.
that Bam was the guy who got the rebound, but did you see Jason Tatum put no effort? If Bam didn't get that rebound, Caleb Martin was going to get it. I mean, they are
probably true.
blessed. They are blessed by this 3-point foul. I mean, that's some of the laziest defensive rebound I have ever seen. And I've coached upward, guys. I have coached at the Boys and Girls Club of America, and I've seen better boxing out there. That's crazy. These are conference finals. Okay. What is going on?
Oh man.
Justin Justin says going the other way. Fuck Boston. Michael says, what is happening? Wait, what's happening? And this one I particularly like. I want them and Dave Portnoy to feel the pain. You know what? Retweet. So I'm gonna say.
Listen to this line from Bam tonight. 22, 16, and 9.
He's that
22, 16, and 9. 27, 8, and 6 for the
Gabe Vincent with the step back.
Unreal.
Oh my God. What is this, Mike? Michael says BGCA is greater than the NBA by a lot, apparently.
Bowling Green. Wait.
Bowling Green, California is much better than the NBA. Justin says he wouldn't mind Jimmy winning one just to show why we should have kept him. Yep.
Boys and Girls Club of America.
Also, yes. There we go. Yeah, I was like, wait a minute. I should know that one. Yeah. It was great. That was, there's something I know Michael can attest to this because Michael is a youth coach for football these days, but there was nothing of all the titles I've ever held. Coach Kev is the one that always put a little extra pep in my step. There was something cool about that, but I will tell you, teenagers do not fucking listen, man. They do not. They even when they like you, dude, they're not gonna listen, not gonna do what you say. It's tough out here. But I look forward. One of these days I'll get back into coaching. I'd much rather coach again, I think, before I don the whistle ever again. That was a thankless job. I'd much rather berate officials that get it wrong right here on camera than go get it wrong myself. 4-point game,
they need a quick
35
one here.
seconds left.
They need a bucket in like 6-7 seconds.
Not great action there.
And my God.
Did he dribble that off of Jason Tatum wants a kick? I don't blame him for asking for that, but it certainly was not a kick. Jesus,
he
Jason.
Just got ripped again. He just got ripped again.
Oh. Yeah, that's the problem is he can't dribble. Did they give him the foul call there?
They did. That was not a lot there.
Yeah, I was gonna say keyword being give because
look at Bam's face.
Bam's like, all right, man.
Strools.
He wasn't even stripped. He dribbled it off his own shin. It was a very quick inbounds off of the alleged Jimmy Butler kick. But what I saw off of that first one was Jason Tatum losing the handle. So that's two. Yep. What I just saw was Jason Tatum losing the handle 2 crucial possessions in a row. Again,
they're panicky possessions.
He's not that the guy's not clutch, and I don't mean to say that. I'm just saying he's not having a great fourth quarter. Justin points it out, like we said then, never should have brought the dog out of Hemi, right? Never should. You know, if I'm Joe Mazzulla, Grant Williams and I are having a long conversation before he sees the court again.
That was such a
He cost
dipshit
them this
move.
game, in my opinion.
Oh man.
Michael says, yeah, being Coach Michael is fun, but holy hell, it's like herding cats if all the cats were deaf. Yeah, no doubt. Yep. Yep. There is it's great to hear that where you're like, Coach Kev, Coach Michael, whatever, Coach John, it sounds great, but then yeah, get a couple weeks into it and you're like, mother of God, just just please listen, please. I'll give you how much money do I have in my wallet? Here's $25. Just please one time just do what I ask. I couldn't do it. To all you parents out there, shouts out to you. You all do it all day, every day. Not me. Not me.
Yep. Yep. The herd can be a little unforgiving.
Oh, are they going over they going through, this is a history of
Here's the saga, yeah.
when keeping it real goes wrong.
20-9 runs.
20-9 since the shit talk. Wow. Epic. An absolutely epic collapse.
What a banger.
Ooh, apparently someone thought the Heat traveled. Oh, that's a real call. How did they miss that?
That's tough.
Which I called this out last game, that you never see NBA officials actually calling that, because on an inbound, you're supposed to have both feet. After a made basket, you're supposed to have both feet out of bounds. And in the NBA, more often than not, they do not bother to get both feet out of bounds. But none of the officials ever call it.
Right.
So that one was,
Vincent takes care of business. Oh, Tatum, no.
Tatum misses a shot. Game. Wow. Miami has a 4-point lead, guys. I think that's going to do it.
The Jimmy smirk was hilarious just now.
This is awesome.
What a team. What a fuck. Oh, my God.
Part of me hates it.
Kevin Love, you know what? Maybe that's my part in this. I'm just a Kevin Love fan, and I'll ride with the Heat. God damn, what a game.
If this becomes Miami Denver, the hoop head in me will love it, because it's just two great teams playing good team basketball. But it's going to be like 20 plus years ago when the Nets played the Spurs in the finals, and like it was great basketball, but no one cared because it was boring. It wasn't flashy. It wasn't exciting. It's one of the lowest rated NBA finals in the history of television and the NBA.
The biggest star was the big fundamental. And that was not getting a lot of eyes on the TV.
Not back then either, especially. He was still building his legend back then.
Ludacris,
look at that. Jimmy Butler confirmed for Fast 12.
Jimmy
Butler. Look out. Oh, I thought that was DJ Khaled, but it's not.
Everybody approved.
You can tell because he's wearing his shoes and they're not sitting on a pillow next to him.
I thought it was DJ Khaled for a second too, actually. Because I was like, oh, it's a group of famous guys.
Yeah, right. I was like, well, if Ludacris is there, what's another famous musician I always see at NBA games? Oh, of course.
And just Blake Griffin's on this team still too. It's so nuts.
Yeah. Somewhere buried on that bench. Oh my God, Jimmy. Man, they shouldn't have done it. Let's see. Lee says Kev, I told you that the Heat was a great bet back in the second play-in game. He did. Wow. That's true. I mean, it's so easy to forget. Not much has changed from this team that was atop the East last year, right? Throughout the regular season, we're kind of like, what's going on with the Heat? But I didn't see this. I have to admit it. I did not see this, but Lee did. That's fantastic. Oh, let's go back to the we got a little comments in here about being a coach, about some youth football coaching here. Let's see. Michael says he has one kid on his team that backs me up, but the other 11 are squirrels. Justin says, if Embiid goes to the Heat, I will have to cheer for them. Oh, do you think? What do you think? You can pause on that one for a second, John. I've been hearing some rumors about the Sixers completely blowing it up. Do you think there's any truth to that? Do you see them moving off from Embiid? We've been hearing trust the process for so many years. I think they're done with that, right? Nobody other than Embiid is around from the process era. But you think they're going to just completely restart this? What do you think?
I don't think he can. He's what, almost 30?
I don't know the age. Yeah, to be honest.
He was 20. Yeah, so he's 29, I think. Yeah, March 16th, 1994. 29.
Lee says no way they give him up. Yeah, I would be. Oh, there's DJ Khaled. I knew I'd see him on my TV eventually. I don't know the package that it would take. I don't see it either. Well, I said this a couple of days ago. I believe that the Sixers are closer to staying in the top 3 in the East than they are from needing to completely blow it up, even without James Harden, because I believe in Tyrese Maxey. I believe we're going to continue to see his growth. I don't believe in Tobias Harris at this point. I do think they need to figure out a way to get off of that contract, but
I think you could see him, I could think you could see him taking it down to the studs, but those studs being Embiid, Maxey, and potentially everybody else just being available and kind of reworking it, similar to how the Lakers kind of have just with LeBron and AD. They're just like, all right, well, let's just kind of get a new, this roster is so different from the 2020 team, just outside of LeBron and AD. It's just like, well, let's just get some more guys. We have 2 really good guys. So I could see him doing something like that and just trying to build it differently around Embiid. But it's tough to picture him as part of that rebuild, or not part of that rebuild, I should say, as part of shaking it up.
Yeah, I agree. I think they're gonna run it back and maybe make some moves. I absolutely think they need to make some changes, but I can't imagine you move on from the MVP unless, as Michael said, they are blown away. Lee points out Butler and B don't like each other. Yeah. That it got really nasty there at the end. It really kind of fell apart there. Justin said, and we will never get rid of him unless the offer is unreal. Yeah, yep. But it could be out there for real. Decent amount of teams missing a dominant center. It is. I mean, that second part is a very good point. It wasn't that long ago, John and company out there. Thank you all who are still watching. We appreciate you. That the NBA was moving to positionless basketball and those small. There was that killer lineup. Small ball was where it was at, and there was no room in the NBA for centers anymore. And that era didn't last very long. And now what we've noticed is, what is it? At least was it 3 MVPs in a row have been centers, right? Dominant centers. And for as long as basketball is a game where guys have to put a round ball in a 10-foot hoop, the dudes who are 7'2" and have some athleticism are going to be important to that game. I'm sorry, guys. I don't care. You can we can have guys who can start to consistently hit it from half court, and the big guys are still going to play a role. They absolutely,
Yeah.
centers are always going to be a big part in the NBA, in my personal opinion. They're just going to get more athletic and start to look more like Victor Wembanyama.
Yeah.
But yeah, tall people are yeah. Where else are they going to go play soccer? No, give me a break.
Yeah.
We're gonna have big guys in the NBA for a long time, in my opinion. But
Yeah, the positionless thing applies to the, the unskilled giant guy of old, where, like,
the Dale
and
Davises.
yeah, the Dale Davis is, uh, like, I don't think, and I don't mean unathletic when I say that. I just mean unskilled on the ball, um, maybe not able to switch defensively. Those bigs that have to play a deep drop
That
against the
can
pick and
only
roll.
draw a five. It can only guard a five. Can only play
Yeah,
in the
can only
paint.
drop on the pick and roll, can
No more
only guard
Scott
a
Pollards.
5,
No more Jeff Fosters. I give you that.
can only convert close to the basket on the offensive side. Like, it's like the Rudy Goberts that are getting played off the floor in the playoffs. Like, if you and Embiid got torched when Tatum got that switch. Like, when he was, he could get as great of a defender as he is, he can get a little exposed that way. Jokic can't really switch, but those guys are so immensely skilled on the offensive side. They don't present any weaknesses there. Like, when you're that big and that skilled on the offensive side of the ball, you could be a straight up liability on defense and still need to see the floor in this league. Um, and those guys are both. Jokic has been, I think, really, really okay on the defensive side of the ball. They do a lot to kind of shield him when they can, but he's got long arms. He knows where to be. Um, Embiid has a lot of gifts on the defensive side of the ball, but it's like it's like the Goberts, the Jarrett Allens, the the Kevon Looney's, the Robert Williams to an extent. Williams is, even though he can kind of switch on the defensive side, like, you need 5 guys on the offensive side of the ball who can do some things with it to keep up with the best of the best in this league. So it's just like, it felt like they were going to get rid of, like, what, 7-8 years ago, it was like, and if you're a center, good luck seeing the floor, because there's going to be someone who's 6'7" and can switch and is strong enough to play the 5, and you're screwed.
We've talked about the renaissance of Brook Lopez, for one, right? I mean, we talk about a guy
Yeah,
when he came into this league,
I think he should have won Defensive Player of the Year.
not much of a rim protector. He was a rebound guy who could score inside the paint. And I can't remember the
Mhm.
exact year. Forgive me, but there was a year when he dedicated himself to learning how to shoot the three-pointer in the offseason. And his numbers, when you look at the stats, if you just looked at points per game and stuff, not much changed. But you look at his shot attempts and you're like, oh, here's a guy who shot 2 threes a year for his first 6
Whole new
7
player.
seasons,
Yep.
and then all of a sudden now he's scoring the majority of his points from beyond the arc, and he's a rim protector all of a sudden. So yeah, it's there's always going to be, I think it's interesting, the center position has become kind of a 3-and-D position, right? You need those, you're either going to go small ball and you're going to have an athletic wing, or you're going
Yeah.
to have a shot blocker who can hit open threes, right? That's
And
what
now
you want.
instead of needing these 3 and D guys at the 2 and the 3, you want
How about who won with the 4
on-ball
and a 5?
creators at the 2 and the 3, and your 3 and
Yeah.
D guys. You just get another combo guard. Now all of a sudden you want combo guards and these.
What a dirty word that used to be. Eric Gordon's
Yeah,
like, motherfuckers, man.
yeah.
Like, God damn it.
Either a
I-
combo guard or a tweener as a forward, and it's just like, yeah, it had like this bad connotation. But yeah, now it's a huge asset. Yeah, and Rodney Stuckey's pissed.
That's a good one. Yeah. Oh my God. Monte Ellis was,
Yeah, Monte Ellis is pissed.
you guys
It's
didn't know how good you had it. Shout out to the new guys joining the chat. We've got a lot of viewers here on all 3 platforms. I see Nate has joined us in chat. Welcome, Nate. Let's see here. Michael pointed out, well, I like this. Yeah, I like what Justice says here. Tobias, most improved player next year. Let's go. Hey, that could be, you're going to need that. Michael points out that the NBA needs a new villain, not Dylan Brooks. I mean, someone who's good.
Yeah.
Oh, the best thing Dylan Brooks ever did for me was wear that sweater with a clown on it, because now I have a photo of a clown wearing a sweater with a clown. And a lot of times when any news comes out about him, I just respond just by posting that photo. I'm like, boop, here's my take on it.
Stupid. Oh, man.
Who
Yeah,
would
that's
be
a good
your
contribution to society, though.
Who's your nominee? Do you have any, John, for the NBA's new villain?
Yeah, I can't really think of one because, yeah, you've got to be good because your team has to have some relevancy.
Clownception.
Like, is someone else gonna start? It might be somebody on the Grizzlies. The Grizzlies are a bunch of villains, except for Tyus Jones.
Tyus Jones, my favorite
Yep,
point guard in 2K.
watched him play in high school. He was sick.
These
Uh,
memes about when Jimmy Butler sees Grant Williams guarding it, like they are
are the
freaking
memes
hilarious, dude.
are the memes getting turned out?
There's the meme of Shaq eating giant ribs, and it's like when Jimmy Butler sees Grant Williams is guarding him. And then there
Oh
was
my
one, it
God.
was the Homer backing into the shrub, and it's like Grant Williams in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, I'm looking. I'm gonna hit the trending
Oh,
and see if I find some other ones. Oh,
Michael hit something. Go ahead.
Somebody said it's been reported that the Celtics won't bring Grant Williams back, quote unquote, under any circumstances. Somebody like just tweeted that. Holy
Justin
shit.
Herbert says George Niang, new villain. Okay, there's a
Jesus
nominee.
Christ.
Michael, I like this one as well. Rudy Gobert was the ultimate league villain in 2020. Hey, I called this out the other night when we were talking about Anthony Edwards flying out to France to practice with Rudy Gobert. I was like, of all the teammates you're gonna hitch your wagon to, it's the Rudy Gobert wagon. Like, I'd be training with anybody else. And the big takeaway was, this is a good thing, and why wasn't Cat invited? And my takeaway, honestly, was Anthony Edwards is already better than Rudy Gobert. Why the hell is he going to train with that clown? The only thing, Rudy Gobert, other than being a great shot blogger, the first thing I can think of is, oh, that's the idiot who touched all those microphones and gave a bunch of people COVID for no fucking reason.
Yeah. And then he tried to punch Kyle Anderson.
Yeah, he's just unserious.
Yeah.
So maybe Rudy Gobert is a good candidate for villain, but I'll give you the floor here for a second, John. That's your team. I would love to know how you feel about Anthony Edwards going to train with Gobert over the summer, and then just any thoughts on the team in general.
Little Wembanyama recruitment.
Planting
Planting some seeds.
What pick do you guys?
I think I said in the Discord, Wolves 2031 champs with Ant and Wemby or something.
You're going for that second contract. I see.
Yeah,
okay.
we're getting him on the second contract. Exactly. Might have to be the third contract once he's out of team control, but maybe the CBA will reset some of that baloney. It's a weird team to be a fan of in general, but it's a weird iteration of the team to root for right now too, because they underachieved again after that haul you gave up for Rudy. And so like Rudy kind of is that guy that a lot of the blame kind of goes toward naturally outside of the front office. Because your expectations are so high when that's what you give up for him, and he's supposed to kind of be that third piece.
Yeah.
And I get the idea. You have two young offensive stars, and you're like, let's add a defensive player of the year. And like in a vacuum, that sounds like it makes sense, but like Towns and Gobert on the basketball court is still awkward. It's going to be awkward.
For as much as Towns doesn't play like a center, he plays enough like a center for it to not work when there's a true center on the court with him, right?
Well, that's where
Did
his
that make
advantage
sense?
is when he's at center, because then he's pulling the opposing center out of the paint. But when you're four, you're four out with Rudy in there, and you're not stretching like you still have help in the dunker spot, and it's just, oh man, it's not good. I think they're gonna do one more year, and then pivot.
They're gonna run it back.
I think they run it back one more time. But beyond that, it's might be easier to picture him trading Cat than so.
Yeah, honestly, yeah, you're gonna get a better return for Cat, right? People are gonna see at least the offensive potential. Thank you,
Exactly.
Nate. I appreciate Nate's nominee of me being the villain of the NBA. I'd relish the role if ever given the chance. Lee says the front office is the main problem for Minnesota. I don't disagree. I liked the move to get Conley. I will say that when John comes back, we can maybe ask him about that a little bit. But Nate says Minnesota seems to have a habit of dumb trades. See Herschel Walker. See, sometimes because I trust you guys, because we have such a great community here at Bite Size Sports, that I can very rarely do I start reading a comment and then find out, oh, I should probably not be reading that out loud. Only when we have some new folks come in that I have to be careful. But that one, I wish I had read ahead because I really wanted John to be here for this. So that's a downfall, but it's okay. He's coming. We're gonna get with our special guest.
We got a
John,
special guest. She was at the top of the stairs yelling for me. Okay.
No worries, no worries. Hey, Minnesota has a history of dumb trades, John. Nate says, see Herschel Walker.
Yeah, we talked a little Herschel Walker earlier.
Which you dropped that one, so I was like, oh, I can't believe we needed that one for when John was here. So, well, I appreciate you all for joining us. John, do you have anything else you want to talk about while we're here? I mean, I'm in no hurry. I'm here, but we've been going for about 2 hours. So I appreciate all of you that have been hanging out. This has been awesome. But anything else you want to talk about, sir?
You know, I don't know if I see the Celtics winning a game.
Ooh, a sweep.
I would like right now, a sweep doesn't seem crazy at all. But before that, you would have said this thing's going 6 minimum.
Yeah.
No matter who wins it.
It's a good. I just truly feel. I think Boston's going to win Game 3, even though they're the away team. But
you think it'll swing back a little bit, but I think it still will too. But I couldn't imagine being, feeling like it would be this unsurprising. That's tough to have imagined at the beginning of this series, but now you see 2 games where it feels like the Celtics kind of gave them their best shot and lost. Yeah, honey.
And not only once, but twice, right? The Celtics built leads twice in this game. And you expect to have to take the team's, best blow like that, but Boston should have won these games, and at least one of these games. And the idea that they will win 2, because let's be honest, in order for Boston to have a chance in this series, they're going to have to win both of these games in Miami. How many 3-1's not impossible, but it doesn't happen very often. I'm dying to know now what happened in the coach interview. Lee says Celtic coach interview after the game will be talked about all day tomorrow. I can't wait to see
Lee,
that.
let us know. What, honey?
Yeah, let us know what he said there. That's we had it. We actually had it on playback, but I've had playback muted because the active chat is right here on YouTube and Facebook. So
Right.
y'all are getting the full force of my attention. So I saw a little bit of footage, but it was muted, so I don't know what happened there. I wonder, is Joe Mazzulla going to be the fourth playoff coach to get fired at the end of the year? Because there's been a lot that this team hasn't done right. And for all the talent that they have, it's hard to say a team in the Eastern Conference Finals has underachieved until that team's down 2-0 to the 8 seed. And then you have to look at all their previous series, you know, a little more objectively, I guess, and say
Mm-hmm.
it's not looking good. And the table has been set for them all season. I've been talking about the NBA every Thursday for as long as I can remember at this point because it all just kind of bleeds together. And Boston has been, it was Milwaukee and Boston tie or a 1A, 1B situation all season in the East. So when Milwaukee gets dumped in the first round, it was Boston's conference to win.
Mm-hmm.
And yet here we are. So something isn't right there because not much has changed as far as the players on the court. Honestly, they got better on the court from last year to this year, right? They got
Mm-hmm.
Brogdon. The guys that they got rid of played well. Like Aaron Nesmith played well for the Pacers, a team that was not trying to win this year. But you know what I mean? Like they
Right.
got better on the court. There's no good reason for this other than they're not being well coached. So, we've got a Ryan Leaf comment in in the chat. I don't know where
That
that
was
came.
me.
Oh, that you? Nice. Tavares Jackson, Ryan Leaf. Lee says as far as the post game interview, very short, and he looked scared. Oh wow! And then Nate says Joe Webb is the Vikings GOAT QB.
Nate, stop disrespecting Brooks Bollinger.
While we talk about Tavares Jackson and Joe Webb, both of those guys have won a couple of Super Bowls in my Madden dynasties. I don't know about you, but I am a
100%.
sucker for just the fastest quarterback I can find at a discount on Madden. Just
Coming off that Joe Webb playoff game, I was like, all right, this is the guy. I think he's gonna take us there.
our buddy Sean was which I appreciated as a Notre Dame fan. He was so hurt that Brady Quinn never got to have a chance that he built multiple dynasties around just going and acquiring Brady Quinn and winning Super Bowls with Brady Quinn.
That's awesome. He was probably pissed on draft night too.
Yes. Bad day for him. He also was big on Manziel and Baker Mayfield, but that's okay. Hey, Mel Kiper does not hit close to 100% on first round QBs. Let's be honest there. Nate says with Wemby most likely going to the Spurs, who's going to be that starting five? Okay, so we have Wemby, we have Jeremy Sochan probably, right? We have Kendall Johnson, that's 3.
Vassell,
Vassell
maybe.
probably. So I'm really high on Malachi Branham. Some of that
Yeah.
maybe proximity because I hail from Columbus and I have seen I saw Malachi play at Ohio State. I wrote a draft profile on him last year, so he was someone that I thought was going to be a mid to late first round talent that I really expected. And then once he landed with the Spurs, I was like, oh, wow, a kid with this kind of offensive talent. He's a nice shooter. He's just solid. He's not overly creative, but a good fit for Pop. And so I think Malachi Branham could crack that 5. It's interesting. I'm not sure exactly what that Spurs starting 5 looks like, but yeah, what good fortune they've had. They've had some breaks in between. 87 was David Robinson, 97 was Tim Duncan, and then 24 years later, they finally get another number 1. But hey, they seem to get them on the years that count, don't they? They get these generation like, hey, here's a guy who's going to carry a franchise for the next 10 years. Hope that's okay.
Yeah. Hope you're cool with 17 straight playoff appearances.
Yeah. Nate says I'm going to end up with 3 of those guys. LOL. Kyle Orton, Michael Bennett. Bernard Berrien. Yeah, so we're doing the random sport. This is one of my favorite things, guys, in the chat. This is a new game we've started. Not it's not new, but we started playing it here more recently. Just the random sports guy in the comments. So it looks like NFL is the thread. Almost let's see, NFC North feels like it's the thread for today's. I'm gonna start doing that from now on. Each live stream, I'm gonna come up with we'll come up with some parameters for our random players of the day. You guys can just start peppering the chat with random players that fit those parameters. Adrian Peterson, the real AP, the Bears version, the Division II AP. Let's go.
That's awesome.
I have that guy's rookie card from whatever Southern Alabama or whatever he hailed from. Lee says 2 years from now, if he stays healthy, will be a great team. I believe that's probably right. Was that the Spurs we're talking about there? Yeah.
And you worry about him staying healthy with just what gravity does to guys like that. It's just like how are his knees and his ankles going to hold up? I hope we see a lot of good years out of him. But being that tall when you're over 7 feet, historically, it really starts to show
wear on you. Yep.
Wear on the legs, particular.
Absolutely, and that I'm interested in. And for what it's worth, guys, I think when we look at Wembanyama and we try to find a comp, I know right now their play styles don't match up very well. I think the best, which is a good best, I think a best case scenario for Victor Wembanyama is that he's a Kevin Durant type player. With that frame, Kendrick Perkins dogged him a lot. People have been dogging him a lot for getting out muscled in the paint by, what was it, Kenneth Lofton, who's, not a first round NBA talent. Good player, but not the kind of player he's going to be going up against in the paint in the NBA. But yeah, make no doubt about it, he's going to get tossed around like a rag doll for a year or two by certain players in the paint when he has to get posted up. Same thing's going to happen to Chet Holmgren, by the way, when Chet plays.
Oh, yeah.
Same thing happened to Kevin Durant before, but Kevin Durant's a small forward, and that's the weird thing. I think Victor Wembanyama is a 7'3" small forward, and I think that's what's weird about this, because I don't think he's going to have the body to play center against many in NBA. He's not going to guard Joel Embiid, at least not for a few years.
Right.
If he guards Jokic, maybe he's going to get worked, but I just don't see him guarding true centers.
Okay. No, I know. And I think he's going to operate on the wing a lot more on the offensive side too. He's got that turnaround to him, but I think even as an offensive player, I don't think you're going to see him post up a ton.
He'd rather shoot floaters from behind the 3-point line.
He'd rather shoot the floaters. He's got a little bit of a handle to create. He's got a little bit of a step back game that nobody can block. So you're right. You might kind of be like 7'4", 3, which is just nuts. Bull versus Victor Wemby is a GOAT matchup.
Yes, it is. By the way, I just ended our playback TV stream because the live feed was frozen on a still of Charles Barkley. So if you're watching us here on YouTube and Facebook, this is the only stream left. So playback folks will probably hop in and join the chat here soon. But yeah, Lee says he would probably play no more than 50 games a year. That's another thing. Load management out the gate for Victor, right? Probably just because of that size. I don't know. I'm old school and I can't help the influences that I have, but this is by no means meant to suggest that Victor is going to suffer the same fate as this player. But I can't help but be reminded of the constant hype leading up to the drafting of one Sean Bradley. When I think of Victor Wembanyama, where it's like, yeah, people were I specifically remember people talking about Sean Bradley's so athletic, he can water ski and hit a curveball. None of that has anything to do with playing basketball, by the way, but they were just finding anything they could find to tell you that this very frail 7'6" guy was somehow going to have a long lasting NBA career. And part of me wonders, even though Victor clearly has a much more polished offensive skill set, is he just going to be too much skin and elbows to actually have a good impact on the NBA?
Yeah, yeah, I hear you. I mean, like even on the perimeter, guys can get into your chest, um, and the length is going to help. You know, he'll have that advantage.
Yeah, he's going to have the length advantage. You know, Nate mentions here the hype of Sebastian Telfair, and that brings me to another part about this, which was something that I just can't stand what I've been hearing. This whole Victor Wembanyama is the greatest prospect ever. No, no, he's not. LeBron James was on the cover of Sports Illustrated as a junior in high school, called the chosen one at
Junior.
17 years old. At a junior, no, like, no, stop it. No, no, he's not the greatest prospect ever. He's a phenomenal prospect. The only reason he needs to be called the greatest prospect ever is the nature of the sports talk industry that we are in right now. We need everything to be so magnificent to try to draw your attention in. So of course, this 7'3" Frenchman that can hit 1-foot floaters from the 3-point line is the greatest prospect you've ever seen.
Mhm.
No,
How
he's
about
not.
Shaq? How about Patrick Ewing when he was coming out? Like
Yeah.
LeBron. Yeah, that's crazy. Because
Ben Simmons. No.
yeah, he's raw. Yeah, I mean, like,
No, Lee points out a great point. Trying to sell tickets. Yeah, it's the hype machine. I don't hate them, right? I appreciate the game that they're playing, but for my money, and I may go down as a crazy person, but for me, I think we're all going to look back on this as Scoot Henderson's draft class. If there any other year, he'd be the guy. Everybody, it would be suck for Scoot, But it's not that year. And we have Victor, we have Brandon Miller, we have the Thompson twins. Hold Me Now, one of my favorite 80s groups.
yeah,
Um, yeah, so Scoot might slip under the radar and fall to 4. I think with what Portland's going to do, Scoot's going to get snagged up
yeah.
at 3. But
Suck
yeah,
for Scoot sounds like something you'd see on a cardboard sign downtown.
yes, it does. Yeah, right. Yeah, on one of the highway on an
Yeah.
overpass. Say, Nate says it's fair to say. Is it fair to say, with hindsight, LeBron was underrated coming out of high school? I had
Maybe.
never thought about that, but he may be. Yeah.
Because was anyone saying, yeah, he'll be top 2 all time, pretty inarguably top 1 for a good amount of people.
Yeah, he'll go to however many NBA finals in a row,
Yeah.
you know, with
Yep.
with guys like me and John on his team,
Right.
just
Yeah.
whoever. I'll take whoever. Yeah, that's fine.
Just one of us with like, some good hustle. Dellavedova was just hustling. That's all he was doing, man. Just fucking hustling out there.
He was going to the championships with Zildrunas Ilgauskas and Larry Hughes as his next best
Mhm.
players. Or
Yeah, Eric
remember when they made that
Snow,
blockbuster trade to get Mo Williams?
Drew Gooden. Yeah, Drew.
Yeah, man. For me, it was LeBron. I think he was the greatest prospect we've seen. Even Jordan, I don't think had nearly the kind of hype. Jordan became something afterward, but yeah, LeBron to me is still the pinnacle as far as recruits that we've seen. Maybe in a different sport, there's been somebody else. I know to pull from my own fanhood, Mark Pryor was a crazy prospect coming out that didn't quite pan out. So anyway, we wasn't OJ Mayo ridiculously hyped, Nate says. Yes. Yes, McDonald's All-American OJ Mayo. That's right. He was a big one. Oh, that'll be a good. We had Sebastian Telfair on this list. Justin says, "Hey man, y'all have a good night. Let's go Chargers." I am picking up. He's laying down what I'm picking up or something like that. Marcus Dupree had a 30 for 30. I think we are about to wrap it up here, folks. I appreciate it. It's been 2 hours and 15 minutes, and we still have an active chat. It makes it
Mhm.
hard. It makes it hard to put pencils down over here. Like I could talk to you
Right.
guys all night, but
How about that redheaded guy with the hard ass dad who was gonna play quarterback?
oh, the Maravich,
Maravich.
Mironovich or whatever, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
dude. Yes,
oh.
Mironovich. I think
Nate
that's
says
right.
Benji Watson before he got shot, but I know who you're talking about. Yes, the I'm gonna look it up now. Todd Marinovich. Yeah.
Mironovich. Yes.
Yes. I Of course you search his name and it's the first 3 things are mug shots. God damn it. Poor guy. Or the Boz. Remember that?
The Boz, man. Yeah.
Bosworth. Oh, that's good. See, now that'll be next week's next live show, which will probably be tomorrow night. I think I was gonna do late night bites tonight, but we got on here and had a blast doing this instead. And
Good
rather than
game.
double dip, we had a good game. So
Peyton.
look out for a
Jumping him.
stream tomorrow night. And our Charlie Whitehurst, that's a good one. Our random player of the day comment sort of section for tomorrow night will be the biggest draft bust. So be ready to hit me up for that. We've got we're gonna have Bader ball, some tech ball, all kinds of weird stuff. All right. So late night bites will be a mix of the biggest stories in sports that day as mixed in with the oddball kind of ESPN 8, the Ocho stuff that you might not even know about. So Saturday night, we'll be looking at blitz ball, tech ball, baiter ball, professional pillow fighting, all kinds of stuff as far as well as keeping up with the NHL playoffs, the NBA playoffs, whatever's happening in MLB that day. So let's see. Ooh, Lee, you're going to have to be more specific. Who is that quarterback out of Ohio State that got hyped and never played? There are a few of them I can remember. Thinking about Ohio State, we had Troy Smith didn't pan out. Cardale Jones, famous for saying, "I didn't come here to play school." Um, and let's see, there was oh god, who are some of the what was it? Is it Jermaine? They had a couple. Bobby Hoying. I remember that guy being in Ohio State. Nate says, "I wish basketball was real." The gambler. Who I wish John was here. John might be able to help me out with this one. I can't remember the the hyped Ohio State quarterback that didn't pan out. Tate Martell, that's definitely one.
I'm trying to think.
He was a gambler.
A gambling.
Well, there was, of course. Oh, was it? I mean, was it Pryor? Pryor didn't gamble, but he sold his pants for a tattoo or something.
Yeah, that's right.
So there's Terrell Pryor. Anyway, that's great. We appreciate you all. We are going to say goodnight for now. We'll be back tomorrow with an episode of Late Night Bites. We might watch some NBA with you as well if we have time for playback TV. In the meantime, thank you so much for watching. Be sure to tune in Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, live at 9 p.m. Eastern. Until then, see ya. Take care.